What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Thanks. I look like I need some water. Is this new? It's been like that? Great. All right, thanks everyone for being here today. And we got back early Sunday morning, about 6 a.m. Watched the tape, watched it on the plane, and watched it when we got back right away. And it was exactly what we thought that we would see. Very disappointing. Just sick of some of the bad football that we played. So we we made the improvements when we made the corrections, and then we had our first practice for Minnesota. We're really excited about opening up the Big Ten here at home in the Woodshed. I want to thank our fans. It's been great. 2 home games and then traveled well on the road, and really appreciate that and looking forward to a great atmosphere in the Woodshed. So with that, I'll open it up.
When you looked at the film, was the pass breakdowns schematic, or was it missed assignments or technique, or what was the prevailing thing?
We didn't have anything schematic, which is the first thing you look for. To say are we getting schemed up, or do we have something of that nature? It was mostly communication or technique, some type of eye discipline or an alignment error, something of that nature. Yeah.
When you looked at the other side of the ball on the offense, what change do you feel up front between the beginning of the game and the second half, where the line was starting to kind of establish themselves a little bit?
Yeah. Well, it was better execution, really. Just more assignment sound. It was death by inches with the offense, defense, and special teams for the entire game. Well, certainly in the first half. We had twice as many missed assignments in the first half as we did in the second half. So that was pretty much what it was.
I was wondering, when you look at Minnesota, their run game, their offense overall has been really good numbers-wise, but with Mo in the backfield and kind of the challenge he presents leading them back there.
Yeah, I really like the way they play the game of football. PJ's done a really nice job with that program, and they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They're big, and they're very good at what they do in the run game, and they're very well coached, and they're going to run inside zone and stretch, and you just got to stop them. They have really good runners, and the running back he's physical, and he runs the ball like the way you're supposed to run the rock. So I'm very impressed with the way they play the game and the way they run the football. And they're very efficient in the passing game as well. They have a very good quarterback experience, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I'm just really impressed when you turn on the tape and you see how they play the game of football. Yep, I love it.
Hey, Coach. So Peyton seemed to be playing better against Washington this week, but he seemed to wasn't afraid to put his body on the line and took a few hits. Was he able to still hit the ground running at practice this week?
Well, he's still alive. Yes, yeah. He was present today. So.
And what were your thoughts on his overall play and improvement from the first 2 games?
He played well. I mean, he played better, and he was more efficient. He threw some really nice balls. He took some checkdowns, and he actually threw the ball away. So he threw some really nice balls, and then he used his feet. He was he's hyper competitive, which you could see, and so he improved.
Well, you went for two a number of times, and obviously they had the odd score with the safety and everything. And I'm wondering, philosophically, was that just something based on the math and metrics, or just so the decisions to continue to go up to those points?
No, it's just basically the math and the metrics, the analytics that really dictate those decisions, in the game, and that's kind of how we go about it.
Well, I'm wondering, PJ announced that Ottman Bell is out for the year. It's kind of a two-part thing. When you go into a game like this and you hear something like that on a Monday, how do you kind of prepare for that when a key piece is missing? And for you guys on the other side, how have you guys been able to sustain some of the top-level depth injuries that you've had?
Yeah, so if you know that a player is not going to be available, then you don't have to prepare for that player, but you still have to prepare for the other players, and they have a lot of good players and they have a really good scheme, and they play hard. Us, depth-wise, it's been a next man up mentality for us. I mean, that's what it has to be, and so injuries are a part of the game, obviously, and so we need as many guys to be ready as possible and prepared to play. And so the next guy steps up, and we expect production, in those positions.
Now, when you went back and looked, I'm wondering what you thought of the pass rush. I know they get the ball out quick out there, but without a sack, and just how important is it going to be to get back on track there? Like you mentioned, a good O-line coming in here, experienced quarterback and everything.
Yeah. So we just need to have a better coordination with the rush, making sure the guys are working together up front. And I'm talking about when we're rushing four guys. And also, we have some other, rush schemes where we weren't necessarily rushing four guys, but we were expecting to get 3 one-on-ones, and we didn't execute. And so, it takes everyone working together to get the type of rush that we need. And so that's an area where we need to improve. And it was evident when we watched the film. We actually watched the film with the players today, the entire football team, like this morning at 7:05. And it was, we watched a continuous copy, in which, it's not something that we normally do. But sometimes it's good to do that. So everyone can see, what happens in the game. Offense, we talk about playing complementary football. So you have offense, defense, and special teams all working together. And, you'd be surprised that sometimes even on the coaching staff, the offensive coach is not sure what exactly is going on defense. Vice versa, same with the players, It could be a defensive player, he just gets off the field, he's going over adjustments. Next thing you know, they say sudden change, he runs on the field, after the game, showers up, gets on the bus, goes back, checks his phone, coming the next day, he watches the defensive film. He doesn't know what happened, but their teammates said it was one team. So sometimes it's good to get everyone in one room and just go through it, just how I watched the film. I watched a continuous copy of games, just how it happens. We kick off, and then we're on defense, and then it kind of goes there. Special teams, offense, you see it. So we watched the first half together like that, and it helps with guys understanding actually when we have success, why we have it, when we don't have success, and it helps with accountability, and it also helps to the understanding of complementary football, and then how little details and discipline and things like that, how they plan to having successful plays or unsuccessful plays, and death by inches was what the story of the day. And on all three phases, what we call a rat trap. And I've talked about it before, is when all camp, all week, preparation, 2 + 2 is 4. You get in the game, and you feel good about 2 + 2 being 4, and then you get in the game, and all of a sudden 2 + 2 equals 5 or 6, and it's like, well, why'd you say it was 5? I don't know. What is it? It's 4. You know it's 4? Yes, I know it's 4. Why'd you say it was 5? I don't know. That's called rat trap. And so we have to do a better job as coaches to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that starts with me. So we have to coach harder. We have to coach smarter. We have to coach with more intensity, more detail, more sense of urgency. And we have to just put more pressure on the entire situation so that when we do go into the game, we don't go rat trap.
So continuous copy, that's just sequential start to finish.
It's a start to finish. That's how I watch the games, unless I'm just specifically watching one side of the ball for some reason.
Between plays and everything else involved with that?
It's not a TV copy. It's just the coach's copy. So, for example, we kick off. We see that, and then now we're on defense, and they go down and they score. Okay, and then extra point block, and then kickoff return. Then we're on offense, and we see that, and then we run a few plays, and then it's 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1. We have miscommunication. We block it one way, running back goes another way. Now it's 4th and 7, punt. Now we're back on defense, and then you just watch the whole half like that, so you can see. And then the coaches are making the comments. The coaches are making the comments as I'm running the clicker. So Scotty will say, "Hey, it's like the main point of the play. Hey, we are misaligned here." Then the D-line coach may say, "Hey, this is." He makes the coaching point, the linebacker coach makes the coaching point, defensive back coach makes the coaching point, I may throw in my 2 cents and go to the next play. We go through it like that, same thing on offense and then on special teams. It takes a while, that's why you can't really do it all the time, but we were able to make some time, we were able to adjust our schedule to make that happen this morning. It was important, I thought it was very effective.
If you watch that, do you watch the between play stuff, like the 25-second clock? You watch how are we substituting? How are guys dealing with things going in and out of the game? Or is it just
We can only watch what's on the coach's copy. So sometimes you can see some things, sometimes you can't, and that's why we watch TV copies as well, to see things that we can't see, on the coach's copy. And the coach's copy doesn't have any sound on it,
Mel, in the back, looks like you guys went to some 3 linebacker sets in the second half. Was that something you noticed at halftime, or what kind of caused that adjustment?
That was part of our game plan going in. Yeah. We try to match personnel depending on what they're in, depending on what we want to play. So.
Hey Mel, I'm curious, is this last game with Minnesota, are you and your staff that came from Colorado, are you able to take more from that game because you still know some of the players who were at Colorado? Like, just more so, like, did you get more out of that than you would against a team that you'd never been around before?
I did watch that game. I can't say I got more out of it, really. A lot of the guys that were there that we're familiar with aren't there anymore. So I didn't get quite as much as if maybe we knew all the guys that were out there, and you could kind of see, like what the matchup should look like, and then what they actually look like on the tape. It's not as much of that.
Mel in the front. So they're coming off 3 games at home. You guys obviously just made a challenging trip to the West Coast. Do you think that gives you guys anything, having already been kind of tested in a different way versus them? They're now doing it really for the first time this year.
Well, we're expecting them to come in here and be great and be prepared and be ready to go. So, how going on the road helps us, and just how playing the game helps us is we should learn from the experience. And like you guys asked me after the game. You all asked me after the game, like, what do you learn about your team? Well, you learn a lot when you see the guys play in games, when you see them play in that type of environment, and so it's very revealing. And so we learn from it, and then we move on. And it was good to get our first practice in this morning for Minnesota, because we had to quickly move on and get that game behind us, because it just makes you sick until you can really turn the page. And but you have to move on.
Mel, you talk all about the ball, and we've seen what the fumble recoveries have meant this year. It's 111 pass attempts now without an interception. Mm-hmm. What can you do about that?
Yeah, well, there's a few things. When you're playing, we play zone coverage and we play man coverage, and then there's some combination coverages. When you're playing zone coverage, you have to do a really good job in the passing game in terms of making sure that the guys that have the in zone should have vision on the quarterback, and when the quarterback throws the ball, everyone needs to break 1/3 the distance. The ball's in the air to the reception area, and then all tips and overthrows, we have to get those, and then the underneath players, when the quarterback gets to the top of his drop and sets his back foot and hitches. All the underneath droppers need to be set up, and the receivers should not be over top of those underneath droppers at that point. So it's a race against time to key and diagnose, see pass, and get back and get set up and get ready to break on the ball. And then we have to have the rush coordinated and working with the coverage. And sometimes, a couple of times in the last game, we had the rush, but the coverage didn't make the quarterback hold the ball long enough for us to get there, and then vice versa. Sometimes we had good coverage and the rush wasn't coordinated, and the quarterback, has more time to run around a little bit, and somebody, finds somebody open late, so in man coverage, same thing with the rush, that doesn't change. We have to have really good eye discipline in man coverage, make sure that we stay on top. And I'm not saying you can't get interceptions and takeaways in man coverage, but the main thing is, make sure you're on top of your guy, and my man doesn't catch the ball. And if you have an opportunity to get your hands on the ball, then make the play. So, and then when we pressure, we got to speed up the quarterback, and we got to be opportunistic. We have vision, on the quarterback to break on the football. So. Yeah, well, we were close a few times. I thought that we had a chance to get some balls that were overthrown. We were really, really close, but we didn't have a good enough break on the ball. Weren't in quite enough good in the position that we needed to be in to make the play. So we had to coach a lot better to get all of us to get what we want as far as takeaways, interceptions.
Mel, you've obviously been coaching a long time, been through disappointments and ups and downs, and
Yes, I have.
And your players mostly as well. You've had a nice run here, going back to the Penn State games, and something really has gone wrong. And I'm wondering what you look for inside your program when you have a moment like this, where for some guys it's new, and the response you want to see, and are there tells and things you're looking for during the week?
Yeah, well, coming out of the game after you grade the film, then you see rat trap, then you basically got guys in three categories: guys you can trust and you know what you're going to get from them. Then you got guys in the middle category that that you feel like you should be able to trust, but you need to get better. Then you got guys in the category where you just can't trust them right now. You're not sure exactly what you're going to get at all when they step on the field. So you have to make sure those guys you can't trust don't step on the field again until they get to the point where you can trust them again, through practice. And then, so that's the first thing you have to do, who we're going to put on the field. And then what changes need to be made from a personnel standpoint. assuming that the scheme is sound and things like that. And then we got to coach them better. And then we're going to be defined on how we respond, to adversity, and how do we respond to a loss. Just like how do you handle success, same thing. So we're looking for the choices and decisions that we make, daily, right now, like today and tomorrow, that are like, what are we going to do about it? Require work, unrequire work, our attention to detail, the sense of urgency. Is there any complacency in the program? Is there any sense of entitlement? Is there any casualness in any part of the program? Like today, it was a couple guys that were a little late to treatment, which pissed me off, because that's how you get your ass beat. So you look for things like that moving forward, and we make good choices and decisions, and we have intentional focus. And that's how we get better and make sure we don't go out there and play bad football like we did on Saturday.
Mel, right here. The list of Big Ten teams that you guys haven't played as a staff yet is obviously shortening as we move forward here. Minnesota is a first time though for you guys. Just I'm wondering. I know the process isn't going to change wholesale, but does a little more have to go into it? I guess when it's not a team like a Purdue or somebody that you have played before since you guys have been here, anything like that?
I'm not sure if there's a little more that has to go into it. We have we do out of season studies on our opponents because we know what the schedule is going to be, and then we see if there's new coordinators and things like that, and we do the research on the guys ahead of time. And if you played them maybe the year before or a couple years, you can pull out the game from last year or a couple years ago and kind of see how you played, and then compare it to what they're doing now, see if anything's changed. And you may be able to see like your guys against their guys, personnel matchups, things like that. But I think if you're preparing any like more diligently or with more urgency or more attention to detail, 1 week versus another week, then that's a problem. If you're preparing as like a staff or players, like if you're saying, okay, well, I'm gonna prepare a little bit more. Well, like, why are you preparing more now as opposed to another game? You should be maximum preparation. We only get so many opportunities, and like, this is what we're doing as coaches. Not like I'm teaching classes or, coming, like I'm going to in-school suspension and watching over that class, after I leave here, and I'm going back to prepare. So, it's like, it's, yep.
Hey, Mel, I know, as head coach, you're concerned more about the bigger picture. I'm over here.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
I
fine.
should have known from the accent.
Okay. Anyway, I was saying that, as head coach, I know you're concerned about the bigger picture and every aspect of the program, top to bottom. But when a quarterback has a game where he throws for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, now that you're coaching the corners, do you take that more personally? Did it look harder? Okay.
Hell yeah, I take it personal. I take it all personal. I remember one time I was coaching, I was at another school, I'm not going to name it, and then something happened, and I was actually at Ohio State, and someone said, well, you can't take that personally, and I was like, I didn't understand that, and I was talking to Coach Truss about it. He said, I never met a good coach who didn't take it personally.
And so I guess since Saturday, kind of what has been the self-reflection for you on maybe what you could have done with the corners and things like that?
Yeah, well, the reflection is like I told the players, the resume is on the tape, So, like right now, I'm a horseshit football coach right now. That's honestly is how I think about it. So we got to get better.
You talked before the season about the pass defense and that kind of stuff. The mistakes that were made Saturday, are they the same as last year? Or are they a different breed? Or how would you characterize it?
Well, I saw some similarities in a couple things, and that's why we're going to have to make some changes. Yeah.
You mean personnel?
Yeah.
You said you take this personally. Obviously, it's Monday, it's early, but you'll see more throughout the week and on Saturday. But how do you think your guys are responding just to that first loss and kind of moving forward to Big Ten?
Today we were good today. We had good meetings. I thought the meetings were productive. Our practice, we didn't hit today, but we were going full speed, and there was a lot of focus there, and I saw the attention to detail. The guys that weren't in were paying attention, and guys were coaching each other up. It was very organized. I thought we moved with a sense of urgency from drill to drill, and things were pretty clean, and just kind of introducing the game plan to the guys. And so we talk about stacking days, and every detail being important. So, you know, at the end of every practice, you know, the question becomes like, did we stack today? And so, you know, when I go back, we'll watch the film here of the practice and offense, defense, special teams, and we'll say, hey, did we stack today? And it's the standard is a standard. So either we did or we didn't. You know, because if we didn't practice or perform up to the standard, then we didn't stack. You know, so that's kind of how we go about, you know, the process throughout the week. If we stack days, then that gives us the best chance. You know, but again, we have to raise our level of intensity in what we're doing. And I hope my mom is not watching this press conference today. So.
Now, just your team's challenge is obviously how they bounce back from their first taste of adversity. Where do you think your team's confidence level is, or how a game like that affects it?
We're going to find out here pretty soon, you know. But today I saw a confident football team. I mean, you learn. You have to learn, and you have to learn from. You have to learn from, you know, from adversity. Like, we're going to be defined, you know, based upon like how we respond to like this adversity and a loss, and sometimes you can win and not play well, and you have to respond to that. Like when in the first game of the season, we're a very inconsistent football team right now, you know, and so and you know I think the collective confidence of the team is as confident as it can be coming off of a performance like that. But you know, the team is made up of individuals, and so, you know, you got to look at some of the individuals that are going to have a role in the game, and we have to see, like, hey, if they're going to have a role, we have to make sure they're confident in what they're doing, and you know, the confidence comes from demonstrated, you know, ability. You know, so if I've done it before at a high level, then I should have confidence, or I can have confidence in a player because I've seen him do it. He's demonstrated that ability to do that to the standard, and so that's why the preparation for the week is so important, because we have to make the practices as much as we can. We can't kill the guys. I mean, you know, we got to get the guys to the game, but we have to make them as game-like as possible in terms of the speed and the intensity, and then kind of like the atmosphere and how we coach the guys, so that we can have the players can gain confidence by saying, hey, if I can do it in practice, you know, to the standard, then I should be able to carry that over to the game, and then we can have confidence in the player saying he's demonstrated the ability to do that, you know, and take it to the game. And so when you have rat trap is when we have demonstrated that we can do that, but we don't do it in the game, you know. So, and like I told the team, I said, listen, every coach in America right now is trying to figure it out, you know, this week. Everyone in America is having the meetings today and Monday practice, and introducing, you know, the team to the next opponent, and everyone's 18 and 22 years old, and we all got it, and so that's where the rubber meets the road, like preparing your football team. You know, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're doing right now. We're right in the middle of it. I'm looking forward to getting back to it, and I'm done here. Thank you so much. Appreciate you covering the team. enjoy the rest of the week, and apologize to my mom in advance.